Close your eyes for a moment and imagine you are no longer hoping, no longer waiting. You are not in lack. You are not chasing. You are now. Feel the weight of the world lifted from your shoulders. Not because someone saved you, but because the version of you who is already free, already wealthy, already standing in the flow of $50 million, 0 cents, has awakened. Let me remind you of a truth that has been buried beneath your doubts. You already have it. There is no need to hustle harder, to beg the world to give you more, or to ask permission from life itself. Creation is finished. All versions of you already exist, and the one with $50 million, 0 cents, is just one assumption away. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not tomorrow, not when the evidence shows, right now. You must walk, talk, breathe, and rest in the knowing that it is already yours. Because money does not come to the needy. It comes to the one who knows it is already theirs. You are not poor. That is a memory, a phantom, a fading echo of an old state you no longer occupy. What you feel now, deeply and consistently, will clothe itself in form. Imagine it now. Your accounts overflowing, your home reflecting abundance, your freedom unshaken by circumstance. Imagine not as a beggar, but as a creator. Not as a wish, but as a fact. Do not ask how. The how is none of your business. The universe rearranges itself around the feeling you sustain. And your only job is to persist in that state until what is invisible becomes undeniable. You do not wait for wealth. You become wealth. You do not wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. So think this way. $50 million, 0 cents is already mine. I'm not going to get it. I have it now. I accept it. I feel it. I live from it. Say it until you believe it. Then believe it until you no longer need to say it, because you'll be living it. And that's when the world will catch up. Not because you earned it, but because you finally claimed it. Breathe. Forget where you are, forget who you've been, forget what is in your bank account, and forget the world that tries so hard to remind you of what you lack. Instead, step into the secret place, the inner sanctuary where all things are possible. Here, you are free. Here, you are powerful. And here, you already have the $50 million, 0 cents stop. Don't just imagine it as a number in an account. Feel what it means. What does it feel like to know you never have to worry about money again? What does it feel like to wake up and realize that life is now on your terms? That everything you once dreamed of is now simply your reality? This feeling, this inner experience, is the bridge. It is the link between the desire you hold and the world that reflects it. Most people try to force life into giving them what they want. They work tirelessly, striving, hustling, hoping, begging, all from the state of lack. But what they do not see is that life responds not to effort, but to assumption. The assumption that it is already done, that it is already yours, that you are no longer desiring it, but living from it. The secret is not in doing more. The secret is in being more. Be the person who already has it, not in pretense, but in awareness. If $50 million, 0 cents were truly yours now, how would you walk? How would you think? How would you speak? You must dare to enter that version of yourself and dwell there, not as a visitor, but as a resident. You see, desire is only the beginning. It is the spark. But feeling is the fire. Feeling is what sets the wheels in motion. It is the signal you send out to life, the language the invisible world understands. When you feel lack, the world mirrors back more lack. When you feel abundance, it must reflect abundance. Do not wait to see it in the outer world before you believe. That is not creation, that is reaction. Creation happens in the unseen. You create with your inner world, and the outer world has no choice but to follow. So train yourself to feel the feeling of your wish fulfilled, not just in moments of meditation, but in every idle moment. Feel it. Embody it. Let your imagination be bold. Let it be real. Picture yourself walking through your dream home, not as a dream, but as a memory. Hear your voice on the phone with your banker, moving millions. Feel the texture of the life that belongs to you. Let it take over your senses. Let it rewrite your reality. This is not fantasy, this is the law of consciousness. What you accept as true within yourself becomes the truth you walk through. So never again say, I want, for wanting implies you do not have. Say instead, I am, I have, it is done. Because in the realm of spirit, it is already so. You are not imagining to create it. You are imagining to recognize what has already been created. You are not convincing the universe, you are convincing yourself. And once you believe it, the world will bend to that belief. The feeling is the key that unlocks the door. It is the proof of faith, the evidence of things not yet seen. So live from the feeling. Let it consume you. Let it guide you. And one day soon you look around and realize what you once imagined is now your life. What you see right now, the life you're living, the people around you, the money in your account, the job you hold, it is not the cause, it is the effect, the result of the imaginal acts you've once accepted as true. You may not remember the exact moment you imagined these things into being, but you did. Everything around you was first created in your mind. Every experience, every condition, every so-called coincidence, it was shaped by thought, molded by imagination, and sustained by belief. We are taught to believe that what we see with our physical eyes is the real world. But this is the great illusion. What you call reality is simply the solidified version of your inner world. It is a mirror, a delayed reflection of what you have accepted and entertained within yourself. If you do not like what you see, there is no use in fighting the reflection. The only transformation that lasts is the one that begins in the mind. Imagination is not some playful distraction, it is divine, it is creative power, it is the workshop of the world. Everything you've ever built, touched, loved, or lost was first born in the invisible realm of thought. So why do we doubt it? Why do we look at our present circumstances and believe they are fixed, unchangeable? Because we have forgotten the truth. The outer world is not the master. It is the servant. If you want to change your life, you must go to the root. And the root is within. No one can see what you're imagining, but everyone will witness its effects. Do not underestimate the power that lies behind closed eyes and a quiet mind. In that stillness, you are shaping nations. In that inner silence, you are rewriting your life. The moment you begin to imagine a new reality and accept it as real, Not someday, not maybe, but now, you begin to plant seeds in consciousness. And like every seed, it needs no effort on your part to grow. It only requires your faith. Water it with your attention, nourish it with repetition, protect it from the weeds of doubt, and in time it must bear fruit. You cannot imagine one thing and expect another. You cannot dwell in poverty in your mind and expect riches to knock at your door. You cannot hold on to memories of failure and hope success will bloom. Life is just. It gives you exactly what you assume to be true. And that truth is not determined by your words, but by your inner state. So you must imagine differently, boldly, radically. You must dare to believe that your imagination is more real than what your senses report. Because it is. The senses only tell you what was. Imagination tells you what can be. And if you persist in the assumption of your desire, your senses must eventually confirm it. They have no choice. Begin now. Choose a scene that implies your desire is fulfilled. Live in it. Return to it. Let it become your dwelling place. When doubt arises, remind yourself. The world is only echoing past assumptions, but I am no longer that version of myself. I see differently now. I feel differently now. I imagine differently now. The world does not change first. You do. And once you do, the world cannot help but change with you. Because imagination is not a dream. It is the foundation of all that exists. It is the only reality. Hold fast to it, and everything else will follow. It is a quiet power that moves mountains, opens doors, and multiplies wealth. And it does so without noise, without struggle, and without force. It does not shout, it whispers. It lives not in the world of action, but in the stillness of your inner being. And it is there, in the silence of your mind, that all things are claimed. You have been taught to fight for money, to strive endlessly, to wake early and run faster, work harder, push beyond your limits. You've been told the world rewards those who hustle, who bleed, who sacrifice everything just to taste a drop of financial freedom. But that is not how true wealth is made. That is how it is chased, and often how it slips through your finger. The real source of wealth is within, and it does not respond to desperation. It responds to acceptance. You do not have to convince the world you are worthy of money. You do not have to beg life to bless you. You only have to accept, in the quiet sanctuary of your own mind, that it is already yours. This is not denial of reality. This is mastery of it. Because reality is fluid. It bends to the assumptions you hold in consciousness. And when you claim something internally, not wishfully, but confidently, the world rearranges itself to match that inner knowing. So what does this claiming look like? It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is subtle. You sit in stillness, you close your eyes, and you feel the truth of it. You hear the inner voice that says, I already have more than enough. You do not argue with it, you do not doubt it, you accept it as your new state of being. In this state, there is no need to hustle to prove yourself. There is no need to compare yourself to anyone else. There is no need to worry about how it will come. The how belongs to the wisdom of life itself. Your only role is to claim it. Think of the wealthy version of you, not in the future. Now, what are they thinking? How do they feel about money? How do they walk through the world? They are not frantic. They are not anxious. They are calm. They are certain. They expect abundance, and therefore it finds them, not because of effort, but because of alignment. This is the secret most ignore. You do not manifest what you want. You manifest what you are, and you become what you assume. So assume the role now. Be the person who already has it. Feel that peace, feel that confidence, not for 5 minutes, but for as long as it takes until it becomes natural. Let others chase. Let them stress. You have found the still place, the place where all things begin. And from that place you speak not to the world, but to yourself. I have it. And that quiet claim echoes into the fabric of reality, weaving the events, people and opportunities that lead you exactly where you belong. There is no need to announce it, no need to prove it. What is truly yours cannot be taken. What is claimed in consciousness cannot be denied in the outer world. So speak not with your mouth, but with your inner vision. Declare not to others, but to yourself, again and again, until your soul believes it. And when you believe, the world will reflect, not because you forced it, but because you claimed it in the silence of your mind. When you play the lottery, do not play with hope. Do not play with doubt hiding behind your smile. Play as the one who already holds the winning ticket in consciousness. Before the numbers are ever drawn, before you ever see a result, go within and see it. Feel it. Claim it. Understand this. What you see in the physical world is nothing but the delayed reflection of your past states of mind. So if you play while thinking, maybe I'll win, then you are not creating, you are gambling. But when you persist in the assumption that you have already won, even before the physical evidence appears, then you are doing what the world calls impossible, but what is simply natural law. If the numbers come and they are not yours, do not flinch. Do not fall into despair. Do not say, see, it didn't work. That is doubt speaking. And doubt is the denial of the gift. It is the dismissal of what you have already claimed in spirit. Instead, say quietly to yourself, this is just the bridge. This is not the end. I still have it. It is already mine. You do not beg for what you already own. You assume it. You dwell in it. You let the world catch up. Play the lottery with a different mind. Not the mind of chance, but the mind of certainty. Hold the ticket and feel the joy as if you are already holding the winnings. See yourself celebrating. Feel the relief. Feel the gratitude. Let it be so real in your inner world that the outer world has no choice but to bend toward it. This is the way of manifestation. The world responds to conviction, not loud, desperate shouting, but quiet, unwavering belief. True manifestation is not waiting to see if it will happen. It is knowing it already has. And when you persist in this way, with unwavering inner knowing, with joy, with bold expectation, the lottery, like all things, becomes a tool in the hands of your consciousness. A mirror that simply reflects what you dared to believe in silence. So the next time you play, go inward first. Assume the feeling, claim the win, dwell in it. And then no matter what the numbers say, persist. The unseen is more real than the seen. And when you believe that, magic happens. When you play the lottery, do not ask, do not plead. Do not say, I hope I win, or please let this be my turn. That posture, that energy, keeps your desire at arm's length. You cannot be in the state of asking and the state of having at the same time. The one who asks is still without. The one who knows already has. Before you ever hold the ticket in your hand, know that it's the winning one. Not because of luck, not because of odds, but because you have already accepted it in the deep silence of your mind. This is not about superstition. It's about alignment. When you align with the state of being a winner, life rearranges itself to fulfill that inner knowing. You see, when you ask, you place yourself below the desire. You are the beggar looking up. But when you know, you become one with the thing itself. You are no longer reaching, you are receiving. That's when the magic begins. So, when you play as the one who already knows it is done. Not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. Feel the gratitude before you ever see a result. Feel the joy, the peace, the relief. Not someday, but now. Let those emotions wash over you like a wave. Not because something might happen, but because it already has in your imagination. When doubt whispers, when the mind wants to check the outcome and worry, return to the knowing. Return to the truth. Remind yourself, I am not hoping, I am not wishing, I am dwelling in the end. I know. This is the greatest secret. Your world does not respond to asking. It responds to assumption. It responds to your inner conviction, to the vibration you carry in stillness. When you become the version of yourself who already has what you desire, the outer world cannot help but conform. So treat that lottery ticket as a mirror of your consciousness, not as a gamble, but as a symbol of what you've already accepted as yours in imagination. You don't need to beg life for abundance. Life is always reflecting what you are willing to be. Feel it so deeply within that even if the result tells you otherwise, your faith remains unmoved. That's when the shift happens. That's when you step out of the old story. You are no longer the one hoping to win. You are the one who has won. And the world is simply catching up. So play the lottery, but play differently now. Play from the end. Play from the knowing. And watch what happens. When you play the lottery, don't play toward a future win. Play from the win already being yours. Do not live as someone hoping something will happen. Live as the version of you in whom it already has. This is the difference between chasing a dream and embodying a truth. The one who lives from the end is not waiting. They are being. Most people play and then wait, eyes fixed on numbers, breath caught in hope. But that energy declares, I do not have it. And what you are, the state you occupy, must be reflected back to you. So if you remain in the state of waiting, of lack, of desire, then waiting is what you receive. Lack continues. The desire remains unfulfilled. But when you live from the end, from the state of already possessing the $50 million 0 cents, the universe has no choice but to echo that vibration. The outer world bends to the inner reality. You are not waiting for confirmation, you are giving it. You take the ticket, and before numbers are drawn, before anything real seems to happen, you close your eyes and see your life as if it has already unfolded. You walk through the house that's now yours. You hear the calls you would receive. You feel the sense of peace that $50 million, 0 cents brings, not as fantasy, but as fact. And then you live from that truth. You don't check your bank account in fear. You don't wonder if you should keep playing. You don't question whether it's possible. You know. When you live from the end, you align with the frequency of the thing desired. You are no longer saying, I want to be rich. You are silently saying, I am rich. And so the world moves to match that declaration. It may seem like magic, but it's law. The inner state is the blueprint. Reality is the outpouring. So the next time you play the lottery, see yourself as already having won. Don't wait for the evidence. Don't wait to feel the joy. Don't wait to celebrate. Do it now, inwardly. And then walk as that version of you throughout your day. Hold your head like someone who already has $50 million. 0 cents. Speak with the calm of someone who never worries about bills again. Let that energy saturate you. The numbers are not the source. You are. The ticket is not your hope. It is your mirror. And when the inner man is aligned with wealth, the outer world delivers it by whatever means necessary. Now you understand. $50 million 0 cents is not a fantasy waiting in some distant future. It is a state of consciousness already alive within you, waiting to be accepted, not asked for, not begged for, claimed. When you assume the feeling of already having it, when you persist regardless of appearances, when you stop asking and start knowing, you become one with the thing you desire. You are no longer separate from it. You are the cause. You are the creator. Imagination is not daydreaming. It is the only true reality. What you dare to feel real, what you dwell on in silence, what you boldly embody now, that is what your world must reflect. So the next time you play the lottery, don't play for the win. Play from the win. Live in the end where the desire is already fulfilled, because it is. This is not about luck. It's not about numbers. It's about consciousness, and you have full control. Let the world catch up to your knowing. Let the evidence unfold. But you remain unmoved, remain convinced, because $50 million 0 cents is already yours. Think this way and nothing will be impossible for you. Thank you. Thank you for walking this journey of awareness with me. Thank you for choosing to be Neville Goddard. Thank you for daring to claim what is already yours. Now go, not as the one who wishes, but as the one who knows, and watch the world respond.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to talk about something profound, something transformative, the art of trusting God's plan. In a world where we often feel the need to control every outcome, where we seek certainty in an ever-changing reality, the concept of surrendering to a higher power may seem elusive. Yet it is the most powerful stance we can take in life. Imagination is the gateway to creation. the key that unlocks the infinite possibilities of life. It is the unseen force that shapes our experiences and carves the path of our future. When we speak of trusting God's plan, we must first understand that this divine plan is not a rigid script written in the heavens, but rather a dynamic process that unfolds through our imaginations. The thoughts, visions, and images that we consistently hold in our minds are the seeds of creation, and it is through imagination that God's plan is revealed and brought to life. At its core, imagination is not mere fantasy or idle daydreaming. It is the divine faculty within us, the creative power that allows us to transcend the limitations of the physical world and see beyond what is currently visible. Every invention, every breakthrough, and every personal achievement begins with a vision and image in the mind of someone who dared to see something greater than what existed before. Imagination is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the inner world and the outer world. What many fail to recognize is that this power of imagination is not separate from God. In fact, it is through our imagination that we express the divine power within us. The Bible tells us that we are made in the image and likeness of God. This means that we are endowed with the same creative potential that brought the universe into being. When we tap into our imagination with belief and conviction, we are tapping into the very source of creation itself. This is where the true power of imagination lies. It shapes our reality. The world we experience on the outside is a direct reflection of the world we nurture within. If you hold thoughts of abundance, joy, and peace in your mind, you will begin to see those qualities manifest in your life. Conversely, if you dwell on fear, lack, and limitation, those are the very things you will attract. The world does not happen to us, it responds to us. It is a mirror that reflects back the contents of our imagination. Many people go through life believing they are at the mercy of external forces, circumstances, other people, the economy, fate, but this is an illusion. The truth is, the power to shape our destiny lies within us. The images we hold in our minds are the blueprint for our future. It is said, as within, so without what we imagine, we become. What we believe, we attract. God's plan for us is revealed not through random events or chance, but through the pictures we paint in our consciousness. Now, trusting in God's plan means trusting in this process of imagination. It requires us to understand that what we consistently imagine with faith and clarity will eventually become our reality. It may not happen overnight, but rest assured it is happening. Every time you visualize a desired outcome, every time you feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, you are aligning yourself with the divine creative force that is constantly at work. But here's the key: imagination works with feeling. It's not enough to simply visualize a better future or wish for a desired result. You must feel the reality of it in the present moment. You must allow the emotions associated with the fulfillment of your desire to wash over you as though it were already done. This feeling of certainty, of joy, of relief is the catalyst that propels your imagination into form. It is through feeling that imagination becomes faith, and faith is what moves mountains. One of the greatest obstacles to trusting God's plan is doubt. When we allow doubt to creep in, we interrupt the flow of creative energy. We start to second guess ourselves, thinking, maybe this won't happen, or what if things go wrong? But doubt is simply a misuse of imagination. Instead of imagining the best possible outcome, we begin to imagine the worst. And since the universe responds to the images we project, we end up creating more of what we fear. The antidote to doubt is persistence. We must persist in imagining the good we desire, even when the physical world shows no sign of it yet. Just as a gardener plants seeds and waits patiently for them to grow, we must plant the seeds of our desires in the soil of our imagination and trust that, in time, they will bear fruit. We do not dig up the seed to check on its progress. We water it with faith and nurture it with expectation. Trusting God's plan is about trusting the power of imagination. It is about recognizing that we are co-creators with the divine, and that what we envision with conviction is already on its way to us. By aligning our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with the highest good we can imagine, we align ourselves with the very essence of creation. And in doing so, we step into the flow of God's perfect plan, where all things are possible. To live in the end is to embody the belief that your desired outcome has already been fulfilled, that the goal you seek is already a reality. This concept is one of the most powerful principles in manifesting a life aligned with God's plan, for it is based on the idea that creation is finished and that everything we desire already exists in the spiritual realm. Our task, then, is not to strive for something in the future, but to align ourselves with the state of mind and feeling that we would naturally have if our desires were already realized. At first glance, living in the end might seem counterintuitive. How can we live as if something has already happened when the physical evidence around us suggests otherwise? But herein lies the magic. What we assume to be true in our imagination precedes physical reality. The outer world is a reflection of our inner world, and by living in the end, we are shifting our consciousness to the state of the fulfilled desire, thereby attracting it into our material reality. One of the greatest challenges people face when attempting to live in the end is their attachment to the current circumstances. We often find ourselves trapped by the evidence of our senses, what we see, hear, and touch, and we allow those external conditions to dictate our internal state. If we see lack, we feel lack. If we see failure, we feel defeated. But living in the end requires a complete shift in perspective. It asks us to turn away from what the physical world is showing us and to trust the vision we hold in our imagination. The reality you experience is not fixed, it is shaped by the thoughts and feelings you consistently hold. When you live in the end, you are adopting the mindset that the outcome you desire is not something you are working toward, but something that has already occurred. You are no longer striving, no longer hoping, no longer waiting for some distant event to bring you joy, peace, or fulfillment. Instead, you are being the person you would be if your goal were already achieved. You feel the joy, the peace, the fulfillment now, in the present moment, as if the future has already arrived. This shift in consciousness is not just a mental exercise, it is an emotional transformation. To live in the end means to cultivate the feelings associated with your fulfilled desire. For instance, if you desire financial abundance, imagine how you would feel if you were already wealthy. What kind of peace of mind, security, and freedom would that bring you? Now, instead of waiting for those feelings to come once the money appears, you begin to feel them now. You live with the emotional state of a person who already has what they desire, and in doing so, you draw that reality closer to you. The reason this works is because of the law of assumption. This law states that whatever you assume to be true will eventually become your reality. When you live in the end, you are assuming that your desire has already been fulfilled, and the universe responds to that assumption by aligning circumstances, people, and events to match your internal state. It's important to note that this is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It's about embodying a deeper truth that everything you seek already exists on a spiritual level, and by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are bringing it into your physical experience. Living in the end also means letting go of how your desire will manifest. Too often, we become fixated on the steps or the methods by which we think our goals should unfold. But when we live in the end, we surrender the how to God, trusting that the divine plan will bring about our desired outcome in the most perfect and effortless way. Our job is not to control the process, but to maintain the state of being that corresponds to our fulfilled desire. We must trust that the higher intelligence that governs the universe knows the best and most efficient way to bring our vision into reality. This principle requires faith and persistence. Living in the end doesn't mean that doubt or challenges won't arise. There will be times when the physical world contradicts the inner vision you hold. But in those moments, you must remain steadfast. You must continue to live in the end, even when there is no physical evidence to support your belief. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is the invisible force that bridges the gap between the spiritual and the physical. To live in the end is to make a bold declaration to the universe that you trust the power of God within you to bring your desires to fruition. It is an act of faith, an act of conviction, and an act of conviction, and an act of surrender. When you live as if your wish has already been fulfilled, you are aligning yourself with the natural flow of creation. You are stepping into the reality where your desires are not something you chase, but something you embody. And in that state of being, you open the door for your greatest visions to become your lived experience. Faith and persistence are foundational elements in the journey of manifesting our desires and trusting God's plan for our lives. In a world filled with distractions, uncertainties, and setbacks, maintaining unwavering faith in our dreams and the commitment to see them through is essential. It is through faith and persistence that we not only align ourselves with our highest aspirations, but also tap into the divine flow that guides us toward their realization. At its core, faith is the deep-seated belief that something greater than ourselves is at work, guiding us toward our intended outcome. It is the assurance that the universe has our back and that our desires are on their way, even if they are not yet visible in our physical reality. Faith is not a passive state of mind, it is an active choice to trust in the unseen and to believe in possibilities beyond what we can currently perceive. When we cultivate faith, we embrace the idea that we are co-creators with God and that our thoughts and feelings are instrumental in shaping our experiences. One of the most powerful aspects of faith is its ability to transform our perception of reality. When we believe in the fulfillment of our desires, we begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. Challenges become stepping stones rather than barriers, and setbacks are viewed as temporary detours on our path to success. This shift in perspective allows us to navigate the ups and downs of life with grace and resilience, knowing that every experience, no matter how difficult, is contributing to our growth and ultimately leading us closer to our goals. Faith alone is not enough. To bring our desires into manifestation, we must also embody persistence. Persistence is the unwavering commitment to keep moving forward, even when faced with challenges, doubt, or discouragement. It is the resolve to continue taking action in alignment with our goals, regardless of the circumstances. Persistence is what separates those who achieve their dreams from those who give up along the way. It is the steadfast determination to maintain our focus and enthusiasm, even when the path seems unclear. Of manifesting our desires, we may encounter moments of doubt or uncertainty. These moments are natural and part of the human experience. However, it is during these times that our faith and persistence are put to the test. We may find ourselves asking questions like, is this really meant for me? Or what if I fail? But it is crucial to remember that doubt is simply a part of the journey and not an indication of our ultimate outcome. By cultivating faith, we can navigate these doubts with confidence, understanding that they do not define our potential. Persistence requires a certain mindset, a willingness to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Each setback can be reframed as a lesson, a chance to refine our approach, and a reminder to stay true to our vision. By developing this mindset, we foster resilience and tenacity, which are essential qualities for anyone pursuing their dreams. Persistence encourages us to keep our eyes on the prize and to trust that every effort, no matter how small, is contributing to our ultimate success. It is also important to recognize that faith and persistence often go hand in hand. When we persist in our efforts, we are reinforcing our faith in the process. Each action we take is an affirmation of our belief in the outcome. Conversely, when we experience moments of doubt, it is our faith that encourages us to keep going. Together, faith and persistence create a powerful synergy that propels us toward our goals. The journey of faith and persistence is not meant to be traveled alone. Surrounding ourselves with supportive communities, mentors, and like-minded individuals can bolster our faith and inspire us to persist. Sharing our dreams and struggles with others can provide us with encouragement, perspective, and accountability. When we see others pursuing their goals with unwavering faith and determination, we are reminded of our own potential and the power of collective support. As we navigate the path of our desires, let us embrace faith and persistence as our guiding lights. Let us cultivate an unshakable belief in our ability to manifest our dreams and a relentless commitment to see them through, no matter the challenges we encounter. By doing so, we not only align ourselves with the divine plan, but also become beacons of inspiration for others, trusting in the process, we will find that our faith and persistence are rewarded with the fulfillment of our desires, leading us to a life rich with purpose, joy, and abundance. In this dance of faith and persistence, we discover our true potential as co-creators with the divine, manifesting the life we envision with unwavering confidence and determination. The concept of God's plan can often feel distant or disconnected from our personal desires and aspirations. Many of us view God's plan as an external force, a predetermined script we must follow. However, a profound understanding emerges when we recognize that God's plan is not separate from us. It is deeply intertwined with our own. Embracing this idea allows us to see that our desires, dreams, and the essence of who we are part of a larger divine tapestry, one that we co-create through our thoughts, feelings, and actions. At the heart of this realization is the understanding that we are made in the image and likeness of the divine. This means that we possess the same creative potential as the Creator. Our thoughts are not just fleeting ideas, they are powerful energies that shape our reality. When we align our thoughts and desires with the divine essence within us, we begin to see that our individual aspirations are a reflection of a higher purpose. Rather than perceiving our desires as self-serving or separate from God's will, we can understand them as part of the divine plan unfolding through us. That God's plan is as much our own encourages a sense of ownership over our lives. It empowers us to take an active role in shaping our destinies. We no longer wait passively for signs or directions. Instead, we become intentional creators of our experiences. When we trust that our desires stem from a place of divine inspiration, we gain clarity and motivation to pursue them. We begin to understand that the yearning we feel within us is not random, it is the voice of our higher self, urging us to step into our purpose. This empowerment comes with the responsibility. If we are co-creators of our reality, we must take care to nurture our thoughts and feelings consciously. Each moment presents an opportunity to align ourselves with the divine. We can choose thoughts that elevate us and foster a sense of connection to our true selves. In doing so, we honor both our individual desires and the greater plan that encompasses us. This alignment requires us to cultivate self-awareness and to become discerning about the beliefs we hold. We must ask ourselves, are my thoughts serving my highest good? Do they reflect the abundant life I desire? Living with the understanding that God's plan is our own also invites us to embrace surrender. This does not mean relinquishing our desires, but rather trusting that we are supported in their manifestation. When we surrender to the flow of divine guidance, we let go of the need to control every outcome. We recognize that the universe is constantly working in our favor, even when we cannot see the way forward. By releasing our attachment to how and when our desires will manifest, we open ourselves to receive unexpected blessings and opportunities. This surrender cultivates a sense of peace, allowing us to navigate challenges with grace. Viewing God's plan as our own encourages us to serve others. Our individual journeys are not just for our benefit, they are part of a collective experience. When we follow our passions and pursue our dreams, we inspire those around us. Our success can ignite the flames of possibility in others, reminding them that their dreams are valid and attainable. By sharing our gifts and talents, we contribute to the greater good, amplifying the divine plan in action. The interconnectedness of our desires and God's plan fosters a deep sense of gratitude. When we recognize that our aspirations are not separate from a higher purpose, we become more appreciative of the journey. We begin to see the synchronicities, the little signs, and the moments of grace that affirm we are on the right path. Each step we take becomes a testament to our faith, a reflection of the divine at work in our lives. Embracing the idea that God's plan is as much our own requires a shift in mindset, a transition from a limited, individual perspective to a broader, expansive understanding of our place in the universe. It invites us to trust in the divine timing of our lives, knowing that everything unfolds in perfect harmony. We realize that our life's journey is a collaborative masterpiece, where our dreams, actions, and the divine weave together to create something extraordinary. As we align with God's plan, we unlock our true potential and experience the profound joy of living authentically, fully embracing our role as co-creators in the grand tapestry of life. we come to understand that in trusting God's plan, we are not surrendering our individuality, we are celebrating it, recognizing that our unique desires and dreams are integral to the beautiful design of the universe. In this realization, we find peace, purpose, and a deep sense of fulfillment that resonates throughout our lives. The law of assumption is a powerful principle that highlights the idea that our beliefs and assumptions shape our reality. At its core, this law posits that whatever we assume to be true, whether positive or negative, will manifest in our lives. Our assumptions create a lens through which we interpret our experiences, and ultimately they dictate the course of our lives. By understanding and applying this law, we can transform our perceptions and actively participate in the creation of our desired reality. To grasp the law of assumption, one must first recognize the significant role that consciousness plays in our lives. Consciousness is not merely a passive state, it is an active force that shapes our experiences. Every thought we entertain, every belief we hold, and every assumption we make contributes to the fabric of our reality. This means that if we want to change our circumstances, we must begin by changing our inner dialogue. We have the power to create a new narrative and to assume the qualities we wish to embody. The law of assumption works on the premise that the subconscious mind accepts as true whatever we impress upon it. This means that when we consistently affirm a particular assumption, our subconscious begins to align with that belief. For example, if you assume that you are deserving of love and success, your subconscious will work to manifest those qualities in your life. Conversely, if you harbor assumptions of inadequacy or unworthiness, those beliefs will also manifest as your reality. Therefore, it becomes crucial to consciously choose the assumptions we want to cultivate, as they hold the key to our transformation. A vital aspect of the law of assumption is the emotional component that accompanies our beliefs. It is not enough to simply state an affirmation or to recite a desired outcome. We must feel the reality of our assumption as though it has already come to pass. This feeling of belief is what activates the creative forces within us. When we assume a state of being, we must embody the emotions and sensations associated with that state. For instance, if we wish to manifest abundance, we must cultivate feelings of gratitude, joy, and fulfillment, as if we are already experiencing that abundance. By doing so, we align our inner world with our desired reality, allowing it to flow into our lives. Living in the end is a crucial aspect of the law of assumption. This means that instead of waiting for our desires to manifest, we must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This approach requires us to visualize our desired outcomes vividly and to immerse ourselves in the emotions that accompany those outcomes. By adopting the mentality that our desires have already been realized, we shift our energy and vibration, making it easier for the universe to bring our dreams into fruition. Another key element of the law of assumption is the idea of persistence. It is important to remain steadfast in our assumptions, even in the face of contrary evidence. The external world may not always reflect our desired reality immediately, but our faith and conviction are crucial in the process of manifestation. When doubts arise, we must reaffirm our assumptions and redirect our focus toward the desired outcome. This persistence reinforces our belief in the possibility of our assumptions becoming reality and strengthens our alignment with the creative forces of the universe. The law of assumption also invites us to take responsibility for our experiences. Rather than viewing ourselves as victims of circumstance, we recognize that we are active participants in our reality. This shift in perspective empowers us to take control of our lives, allowing us to make conscious choices that align with our desires. By taking ownership of our assumptions, we reclaim our power and embrace the role of creator. Furthermore, understanding the law of assumption can lead to profound shifts in our relationships with others. When we assume the best in others, we invite those qualities to emerge. For example, if we assume that our loved ones are supportive and kind, we create an environment where those qualities can flourish. Conversely, if we hold negative assumptions about others, we may inadvertently bring about conflict or misunderstanding. By applying the law of assumption to our interactions, we foster more positive and harmonious relationships. The law of assumption serves as a reminder that our thoughts and beliefs shape our reality. By consciously choosing the assumptions we entertain, we can transform our lives in meaningful ways. The key lies in our ability to feel the reality of our assumptions, to live as if our desires are already fulfilled, and to persist in our beliefs despite external circumstances. Through this practice, we become active creators of our reality, harnessing the power of the law of assumption to manifest our dreams and to align with our highest selves. In doing so, we can lead lives rich with purpose, joy, and abundance, fully realizing the potential that lies within each of us. The inner feeling of peace is one of the most profound states of being we can cultivate. In a world filled with distractions, chaos, and uncertainty, finding this sense of tranquility within ourselves can often feel like a daunting challenge. Yet it is essential to understand that this inner peace is not dependent on external circumstances. Rather, it is a state of mind and a reflection of our inner landscape. Cultivating this peace can lead to profound changes in our lives, fostering resilience, clarity, and a deeper connection to ourselves and the world around us. At its core, inner peace is characterized by a deep sense of contentment and acceptance. It is the ability to remain grounded, even amidst the storms of life. This state of being allows us to navigate challenges with grace, respond thoughtfully to stressors, and cultivate a sense of balance and harmony within. When we experience inner peace, we become less reactive to external pressures, allowing us to engage with life from a place of calmness and centeredness. This tranquility not only enhances our well-being but also positively influences those around us, creating a ripple effect of peace in our relationships and communities. To cultivate this inner feeling of peace, it is essential to develop self-awareness. Self-awareness involves recognizing our thoughts, emotions, and patterns of behavior without judgment. By becoming aware of our internal landscape, we can identify what disrupts our peace and take steps to address it. For instance, negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, and unresolved emotional conflicts can all create inner turmoil. By acknowledging these patterns, we empower ourselves to make conscious choices that promote a more peaceful state of mind. Meditation and mindfulness practices are powerful tools for fostering inner peace. These practices encourage us to slow down, connect with our breath, and anchor ourselves in the present moment. Through meditation, we can observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. This detachment allows us to cultivate a sense of calm and clarity, reducing the noise of our busy minds. Mindfulness, on the other hand, invites us to engage fully with our experiences, whether mundane or extraordinary. By being present, we cultivate a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the here and now, further enhancing our inner sense of peace. Another important aspect of nurturing inner peace is the practice of self-compassion. Often we can be our harshest critics, allowing feelings of guilt, shame, or inadequacy to disrupt our tranquility. By treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, we create an environment conducive to peace. This means acknowledging our imperfections, forgiving ourselves for past mistakes, and recognizing that we are deserving of love and acceptance. Self-compassion helps us to cultivate a nurturing inner dialogue, promoting emotional well-being and fostering a sense of peace. Creating a harmonious environment also contributes to our inner peace. The spaces we inhabit can greatly influence our mental state. Surrounding ourselves with beauty, order, and positive energy can create a sanctuary that supports our quest for tranquility. This could involve decluttering our physical spaces, decorating with items that bring joy, or even spending time in nature. Nature has a unique ability to instill peace within us, as it invites us to slow down and reconnect with the rhythms of life. Whether it's a walk in the park, a hike in the mountains, or simply sitting by a body of water, immersing ourselves in nature can help us tap into that inner stillness. Establishing healthy boundaries is crucial in preserving our inner peace. Many of us struggle with saying no or overcommitting ourselves, leading to feelings of overwhelm and stress. By setting boundaries, we protect our energy and create space for what truly matters. This means recognizing our limits and prioritizing self-care. When we honor our needs and commitments, we create a nurturing environment where inner peace can flourish. The journey to inner peace is not linear. It requires patience and dedication. There will be times when external circumstances challenge our tranquility, and it's important to remember that experiencing discomfort is part of the human experience. Instead of resisting these feelings, we can approach them with curiosity and compassion, recognizing them as opportunities for growth and healing. By accepting our emotions without judgment, we allow ourselves to process and release them, creating space for peace to emerge. Connecting with a higher purpose or spirituality can also be instrumental in cultivating inner peace. Whether through prayer, meditation, or engaging in practices that resonate with us, connecting with the divine can provide a sense of grounding and comfort. Knowing that we are part of something greater can offer solace during challenging times, reminding us that we are never truly alone. The inner feeling of peace is a state of being that we can cultivate through self-awareness, mindfulness, self-compassion, and creating harmonious environments. It is a journey that requires patience, practice, and dedication, but the rewards are immeasurable. When we nurture our inner peace, we not only enhance our own lives, but also contribute to the collective harmony of the world around us. In this way, we become beacons of light, inspiring others to embark on their own journeys toward tranquility and well-being. As we embrace the beauty of inner peace, we open ourselves to a life filled with joy, resilience, and profound connection to ourselves and others. In conclusion, the journey of embracing and manifesting the principles we've discussed today, trusting God's plan, harnessing the power of imagination, embodying faith and persistence, and understanding the law of assumption, invites us to connect deeply with our inner selves and the universe. It reminds us that we are co-creators of our realities, capable of transforming our lives through the beliefs we hold and the emotions we cultivate. As we navigate our paths, let us remember that inner peace is our birthright, a sanctuary we can return to amidst the chaos of life. By nurturing this peace, we not only elevate ourselves, but also inspire those around us to do the same. Thank you for allowing me to share these thoughts with you today. May your journey be filled with light, love, and unwavering faith in the beautiful unfolding of your life. Ladies and gentlemen, we often find ourselves confronted by the harsh reality that others, sometimes even those we trust, have hurt us deliberately. The sting of betrayal, the bite of intentional harm, these are undeniable experiences. But today I want to share with you a truth far deeper than the pain you may have endured. Our lives unfold not as a series of random events, but as reflections of the assumptions we hold. To grasp the true power behind this concept is to understand that the world we experience is not fixed, nor is it dictated by external forces. Instead, it is continuously shaped by our internal beliefs, expectations, and the assumptions we carry about ourselves, others, and life as a whole. When we speak of assumption, we are not talking about idle thoughts or fleeting wishes. Assumptions are the deep-seated beliefs that operate at a subconscious level. They are the truths we accept without question, the things we expect to happen. These assumptions create the lens through which we see and interact with the world, and more importantly, they shape the very nature of the reality that unfolds before us. To assume something is not merely to think about it or hope for it. It is to embody it, to accept it as real, even before any external evidence has appeared. Our assumption is the blueprint, and our reality is the construction that follows. What we assume to be true, whether positive or negative, manifests in our lives. This is the power of assumption. It dictates what we experience. Most of us go through life unaware of this power. We often believe that the external world is what influences our internal state. If things go well, we feel good. If they don't, we feel bad. But this is a misunderstanding of the true nature of reality. In truth, the external world is merely a mirror reflecting our internal state. The thoughts and assumptions we hold within manifest as the circumstances, events, and people we encounter. To change the external, we must first change the internal. Consider, for a moment, how often we assume things without realizing it. We assume that a situation will not improve, that someone will let us down, that we are not capable of achieving a goal, or that life is inherently difficult. These assumptions seem harmless, even logical at times, but they are powerful creators. Each time we assume something, we give it life. We send a signal to our subconscious mind and, in turn, to the universe that this is our truth. And as surely as night follows day, reality conforms to meet our expectations. This is why it is so important to be conscious of what we assume. If we want to experience joy, success, love, or abundance, we must first assume it. This doesn't mean we pretend everything is perfect or that we ignore the challenges of life. Instead, we actively choose to believe in a reality that supports our desires, even if the evidence around us suggests otherwise. We assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. For example, if someone desires more financial abundance, they must begin to assume themselves to be financially abundant. Not in a superficial way, but deep within their being. They must feel, think, and act as if this abundance is already theirs. The world may not reflect this immediately. They may still see bills piling up, or their bank account may not yet show the desired figures. But these are just reflections of old assumptions. By holding steadfast to the new assumption of abundance, they begin to shift their reality. Eventually, the outer world must conform to the inner belief, and financial abundance will appear in their life. The key is persistence. Our external reality often lags behind our internal shifts because the physical world operates on time and space. But the mind is instant. When we assume something within, it is immediately true in the realm of consciousness. The challenge is to remain faithful to this new assumption, even when the outer world has not yet caught up. Too often people give up too soon, thinking that their new belief isn't working because they don't see immediate results. But persistence in the assumption will always lead to its manifestation. This principle also applies to relationships, health, career, or any other area of life. If someone assumes they are loved, they will attract love into their life. If they assume health, their body will begin to align with that state. If they assume success in their career, opportunities will present themselves. The world will begin to shift around them in ways that seem almost magical. But it is not magic, it is the power of assumption at work. The power of assumption is not something distant or complex. It is the recognition that we are always creating, always shaping our reality through our beliefs and expectations. The question is not whether we are using this power, but whether we are using it consciously. When we assume the best, when we align our internal state with the reality we desire, we harness the true creative power within us. Reality will reflect our assumptions. This is the unwavering law of life. The choice, then, is ours. In life, we encounter situations where the intentions of others directly or indirectly influence us. Sometimes these intentions are pure and positive, meant to help, guide, or uplift us. Other times, however, people may act with harmful or self-serving intentions, hoping to diminish our sense of self or limit our progress. It's easy to become consumed by the intentions of others, especially when their actions hurt us. But the truth is, while the intentions of others may shape certain events in our lives, they do not have the power to dictate our overall experience unless we allow them to. Intentions are internal. They originate from a person's thoughts, desires, and motivations. Experience, on the other hand, is how we perceive and internalize the external events of our lives. The critical distinction between these two is that intentions are something others impose, while our experience is ours to define. We may not be able to control what others intend for us, but we always retain the power to decide how we respond, interpret, and grow from what happens. Often, when someone acts with negative intentions, we instinctively react from a place of hurt or anger. We may feel betrayed, insulted, or diminished. In these moments, it seems as though their intentions have succeeded, they've managed to affect us. But this is only the surface level. What truly defines the experience isn't what they did or what they wanted to happen, it's how we interpret their actions and what we choose to believe about ourselves in response. If someone intends to bring us down by criticizing our work, for instance, it's natural to feel defensive or hurt. Yet the power lies not in their words or intent, but in how we choose to internalize those actions. If we believe their criticism to be true, If we let it seep into our self-image and affect our sense of worth, we have allowed their intention to shape our experience. However, if we recognize that their criticism comes from a place of their own insecurity or limitation, and if we remain confident in our abilities, their intentions lose their power. The experience becomes one of growth and resilience, not one of diminishment. This concept becomes even more significant when we consider positive intentions. People may intend to help us or offer guidance with the best of motives, but if we do not believe in ourselves or trust their guidance, the experience will not match their intention. A mentor's words, no matter how wise, can fall on deaf ears if the person receiving them is not open to listening. The experience then is shaped not by the well-meaning mentor's intention, but by the listener's readiness to receive and act upon it. What truly defines our life experience is our state of mind, our beliefs, and our focus. Two people can undergo the same event, be it a betrayal, a loss, or a success, and have vastly different experiences because of how they interpret and respond to it. One may view it as a devastating blow, while the other sees it as an opportunity for growth. The event is neutral until we assign meaning to it. The same goes for intentions. Whether someone seeks to harm or help us, it is our interpretation and emotional response that will ultimately shape our reality. It's also essential to acknowledge that people's intentions are often colored by their own limitations, fears, or misunderstandings. Someone might act out of jealousy, resentment, or even ignorance, and while their actions may appear harmful, they often say more about the person acting than about us. When we detach ourselves from the idea that others' intentions hold sway over us, we begin to reclaim our personal power. We are no longer puppets to external influences. Instead, we become the architects of our own experience. This doesn't mean that we ignore or suppress our emotions. Feeling hurt, angry, or disappointed is a natural part of the human experience. However, the key is in recognizing that these emotions do not have to define us. We can feel them, acknowledge them, and still choose to frame our experience in a way that uplifts rather than diminishes us. It's about responding rather than reacting, choosing our narrative instead of adopting one that has been imposed upon us. Our experience is shaped far more by our internal state than by the external actions or intentions of others. The intentions of others, whether positive or negative, are external forces that may attempt to sway us, but our internal reality is where true power lies. We get to choose what meaning to assign to events, how to respond to others, and how to interpret their actions. When we realize this, we step into the full strength of our ability to create our experience. We are not victims of circumstance or of others' intentions. We are the authors of our lives. Imagination is a force so profound that it shapes not just our thoughts, but the very fabric of our reality. Many people believe that the world around them exists independently of their mind, and that their experiences are dictated by the external events they encounter. Yet, in truth, it is our imagination that molds and defines the world we live in. Our internal world, our mental images and beliefs, create the circumstances and experiences we encounter daily. To understand this is to realize that imagination is not just a tool for daydreaming, but the very engine of creation itself. Everything that has ever existed in the physical world first existed as a thought, an idea, or an image in someone's mind. Before a building is erected, it is visualized by an architect. Before a work of art is created, it is imagined by an artist. Before any major life decision is made, we often imagine the outcomes, the possibilities, and the different paths we could take. This shows that the external world is a reflection of the internal, and that the reality we experience is shaped and forged by the power of imagination. When we use our imagination consciously, we begin to understand that we are not bound by the limitations of the physical world. Imagination allows us to transcend the present moment, to envision a reality that may not yet be visible or tangible, and through persistent belief and focus, we bring that vision into existence. This process works whether we are aware of it or not. The difference is that most people allow their imagination to be influenced by external circumstances. They see problems, obstacles, or limitations in their lives and imagine more of the same. As a result, their reality continues to mirror these challenges. But the key to transforming reality lies in taking control of the imaginative process. Instead of letting external circumstances dictate our thoughts and beliefs, we can use imagination to consciously create a new experience. To do this, we must first understand that imagination is not a passive act, but an active, creative force. It involves not just visualizing something we want, but feeling as though it is already real. The emotions and feelings we generate in our imaginative states are crucial, because they set the tone for how reality will respond to us. For example, if someone is struggling with financial difficulties, it's easy to let the current situation dominate their thoughts. They might constantly worry about money, focus on their lack, and imagine scenarios of financial failure. What they may not realize is that by doing this, they are actively reinforcing their current reality through the power of imagination. But if they consciously shift their focus and begin to imagine themselves in a state of abundance, feeling prosperous, secure, and free, their outer world will start to shift in alignment with those new imaginative states. Imagination has the ability to break the chains of limitation. It allows us to envision possibilities that may seem out of reach in the present moment. By repeatedly and vividly imagining a new reality, we start to change our internal state, which in turn influences our actions, decisions, and interactions with the world. This internal shift causes the external world to rearrange itself in ways that may seem coincidental or even miraculous. But in truth, these changes are the natural result of aligning our imagination with our desires. It's important to recognize that imagination is not limited to creating physical changes or material success. It also shapes our relationships, our health, and our overall sense of well-being. If someone constantly imagines themselves as unloved or unworthy, their reality will reflect that belief. They will attract relationships that confirm their self-image and create experiences that mirror their internal state. However, if they begin to imagine themselves as deserving of love, valued, and cherished, they will attract people and experiences that align with this new belief. Imagination is not bound by time or space. It can rewrite the past, influence the present, and shape the future. The act of revision, using imagination to mentally revisit past events and change how we feel about them, is a powerful tool in altering how those past experiences continue to affect us. By revising the past in our mind, we free ourselves from the emotional baggage it may carry, and as a result, we change how we experience life moving forward. The creative power of imagination is limitless. It is not something reserved for artists, writers, or dreamers. It is a tool that every one of us possesses, whether we recognize it or not. Our lives are shaped by the images we hold in our minds, and as soon as we take conscious control of those images, we begin to forge a reality that aligns with our deepest desires and aspirations. To forge reality through imagination is to acknowledge our role as creators of our experience, and to embrace the immense potential that lies within us to shape the world as we wish it to be. Life often presents us with moments where we feel powerless, as if we are at the mercy of circumstances beyond our control. Whether it's due to external events, the actions of others, or a series of personal setbacks, it's easy to fall into the belief that life is happening to us, not for us. However, the truth is we always have control, more than we often realize. The key to transforming our lives is reclaiming that control by shifting our focus from the external world to the internal one, where our true power resides. Control, in this context, isn't about manipulating or forcing the outside world to conform to our desires. It's not about controlling other people or the specific outcomes of events. Instead, it's about taking charge of our internal state, our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and most importantly, how we respond to life's events. The external world will always present challenges, obstacles, and uncertainties, but our response to those situations defines whether we remain in control or lose it. One of the most empowering realizations is that we are not passive recipients of life. Our perception of reality is shaped by the thoughts we choose to focus on and the beliefs we hold about ourselves and the world. If we constantly focus on the negative, on what's wrong, or on how we've been wronged, we give away our power. We allow external events or the actions of others to dictate how we feel and consequently what we experience. But when we shift our attention inward and consciously decide how we will interpret and respond to life, we begin to reclaim control over our reality. To reclaim control means to take responsibility not in the sense of blame, but in the sense of acknowledging that we are the creators of our experience. This doesn't mean we can avoid challenges or difficult situations. Life is filled with ups and downs, and certain things will happen that are beyond our immediate control. However, what remains firmly in our grasp is how we choose to think and feel about those events. Our internal state, how we perceive and respond to these moments, is always within our power to control. A significant part of reclaiming control involves becoming aware of the stories we tell ourselves. Often we unconsciously adopt narratives that disempower us. We tell ourselves that we're unlucky, that life is unfair, or that we're victims of circumstance. These stories may seem justified in the face of certain experiences, but they keep us stuck in a state of helplessness. When we reclaim control, we begin to rewrite those narratives. Instead of focusing on what we can control, we start to ask ourselves, what can I control? How can I choose to see this situation differently? This simple shift in perspective allows us to step back into a position of power. One of the most powerful ways to reclaim control is through the practice of mindfulness and self-awareness. By becoming aware of our thoughts and emotions, we can begin to notice when we are reacting to external events in ways that disempower us. Instead of reacting impulsively to a difficult situation, we can take a step back, observe our emotional response, and consciously choose how we want to act. This might mean choosing patience in a moment of frustration, compassion in a moment of anger, or resilience in a moment of adversity. When we respond in this way, we are no longer being controlled by our environment. Instead, we are controlling our internal state and in turn, shaping the reality we experience. Reclaiming control also involves understanding the power of focus. What we choose to focus on expands in our experience. If we focus on problems, we attract more problems. If we focus on solutions, opportunities begin to present themselves. By shifting our focus to what we can control, our attitude, our thoughts, our actions, we start to change the energy we bring into every situation. This shift in focus empowers us to take action from a place of inner strength rather than from a place of reaction or fear. It's important to remember that reclaiming control is not about perfection. There will be moments when we slip into old patterns of reaction, frustration, or feeling powerless. The key is not to judge ourselves harshly in those moments, but to gently bring ourselves back to the realization that we have the power to choose again. Every moment offers a new opportunity to reclaim control, to shift our focus, and to decide how we want to experience life. Ultimately, reclaiming control is about recognizing that the true power lies within us, not in the external world. It's about understanding that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. And in that response lies the seed of transformation. When we take full ownership of our inner world, we reclaim the power to shape our experience, no matter what the external circumstances may be. This is the path to true empowerment and lasting peace. The past, with all its memories, triumphs, and pains, often shapes who we are. Some experiences leave us with valuable lessons, while others, especially those marked by hurt, can linger and impact our present in ways we may not fully realize. These past hurts can become invisible weights, shaping our perceptions, beliefs, and even limiting our potential for happiness. However, we are not prisoners of our past. One of the most profound ways to heal and move forward is by revising those past hurts. Revision, in this sense, is not about erasing or denying what happened. It's about altering the emotional and psychological impact that past events have on our present. The key lies in understanding that while the event itself is fixed in time, the meaning we assign to it and the way we remember it is entirely within our control. By consciously revisiting and reshaping our memories, we can transform the effect they have on us today. Most of us carry hurt from past relationships, failures, or moments of perceived betrayal or loss. These experiences become part of the narrative we tell ourselves about who we are. We might believe that because someone hurt us, we are unworthy of love, or because we failed in the past, we are destined to fail again. But these are not truths, they are simply the meanings we have attached to events. Revising the past is about reclaiming the power to change those meanings. The first step in revising past hurts is awareness. Often the emotional scars from past experiences are deeply buried. We may not even realize how much a past event is affecting our present behavior. A painful breakup, for instance, might lead someone to keep others at arm's length out of fear of being hurt again. A failure in a previous career might cause someone to avoid taking risks or pursuing new opportunities. To revise the past, we must first bring these memories and their accompanying emotions to the surface. Once we identify the memories that need revising, the next step is to change the emotional tone of those memories. This is where imagination becomes a powerful tool. When revisiting a painful memory, instead of replaying it as it happened, we can imagine a different outcome. This doesn't mean pretending the event never occurred, but rather altering how we interpret and feel about it. For example, if someone experienced rejection in a relationship, instead of reliving the pain of being unloved, they could imagine themselves as someone who is worthy of love, appreciated, and valued in that moment. They could revise the scene to reflect the understanding that the rejection was not a reflection of their worth, but a step toward finding a more meaningful connection. The act of revision is not just mental gymnastics, it's a deeply transformative practice that changes our emotional responses. When we change how we feel about a past event, we release the hold it has over our present life. We no longer carry the emotional baggage of those experiences into our future. This emotional freedom allows us to create new, more empowering narratives about ourselves and our potential. One of the greatest benefits of revising past hurts is the healing that it brings. Many people go through life carrying resentment, guilt, or regret. These emotions can act like poison, slowly eroding our sense of well-being and preventing us from fully embracing joy in the present. By revising the past, we can forgive ourselves and others, letting go of negative emotions that no longer serve us. This doesn't mean condoning harmful actions or forgetting the lessons learned. Instead, it's about freeing ourselves from the emotional chains that bind us to the past. The process of revision also helps us reclaim our sense of power. Often, past hurts leave us feeling powerless, as if we were victims of circumstances beyond our control. But by revising these memories, we remind ourselves that we always have the power to control how we feel and respond. We are not defined by what happened to us, we are defined by how we choose to interpret and grow from those experiences. As we begin to revise our past, we may notice changes in our present. The emotional weight of old wounds starts to lift, and we feel lighter, freer, and more open to new possibilities. Our relationships improve, because we are no longer projecting old hurts onto new interactions. Our confidence grows, because we are no longer held back by past failures. In essence, by revising the past, we create a new internal landscape that allows us to move forward with greater clarity and peace. Revising past hurts is a powerful practice that empowers us to reshape our lives from the inside out. By changing the emotional narrative attached to past events, we free ourselves from the limiting beliefs and emotions that keep us stuck. This practice is not about rewriting history, but about reclaiming control over how our past influences our present and future. In doing so, we open the door to healing, growth, and a more empowered way of living. The realization that the self is the creator of one's reality is both empowering and transformative. It marks a profound shift in understanding, moving away from the idea that life happens to us, and toward the recognition that life happens through us. Each of us has the ability to shape our experiences, influence our circumstances, and mold the very fabric of our reality. This power lies not in controlling external events or people, but in mastering the internal world of thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and imagination. To embrace the self as creator, the first step is acknowledging that everything we experience begins within. The thoughts we think, the stories we tell ourselves, and the beliefs we hold create a mental framework that influences how we perceive the world. More importantly, these internal processes actively shape the events we encounter. When we understand that our internal state is the source of our external reality, we can begin to consciously direct it to create the experiences we desire. At the core of this understanding is the recognition that our beliefs and assumptions act as powerful filters. They determine what we notice, how we interpret events, and ultimately what we attract into our lives. If we believe that life is full of struggle, that success is rare, or that love is hard to find, our experiences will reflect those beliefs. The world will seem to confirm what we expect, because we are unconsciously shaping our reality to align with our inner convictions. Conversely, when we shift our beliefs to ones that are empowering and aligned with the reality we wish to create, our experience of life changes dramatically. If we believe that we are capable, deserving, and abundant, we begin to notice opportunities that support those beliefs. Situations that might have been seen as obstacles become stepping stones, and we attract people and experiences that affirm our new mindset. In this way, the self as creator means we are constantly influencing and shaping reality through our thoughts, beliefs, and expectations. A critical aspect of embracing oneself as the creator of reality is understanding the role of imagination. Imagination is not merely a tool for fantasy or wishful thinking, it is the mechanism through which creation happens. Before anything can exist in the external world, it must first exist in the mind. Every invention, every building, every work of art began as an image in someone's mind. This process is no different for the individual. Whatever we repeatedly imagine and believe to be true will eventually manifest in our lives. However, many people use their imagination unconsciously, allowing fear, doubt, and negative scenarios to dominate their inner world. They imagine worst-case outcomes, relive past hurts, or dwell on problems, and in doing so, they are unwittingly creating more of what they don't want. The self as creator must take deliberate control of the imagination, consciously visualizing the desired outcomes and feeling as if they are already real. This practice of imagining from the end, feeling the emotions of having already achieved or experienced what we desire, is key to bringing that reality into existence. Another aspect of self-creation involves taking full responsibility for one's life. This doesn't mean blaming oneself for every misfortune or struggle, but rather understanding that we have the power to change our response to any situation. Life is filled with events that seem random or outside of our control, but our internal reaction to those events is where our true power lies. By taking responsibility for how we respond, whether with resilience, acceptance, or creativity, we reclaim the role of creator. We recognize that while we cannot always control what happens, we can always control how we experience and move forward from it. In embracing the self as creator, it's also important to understand that this power is not about manipulating others or forcing outcomes. It is about aligning with the natural flow of life and using our internal state, our thoughts, feelings, and imagination to create harmony between ourselves and the world around us. When we operate from this place of alignment, we begin to notice that life seems to cooperate with us. Synchronicities occur, opportunities arise seemingly out of nowhere, and challenges are resolved more easily. This is because we are no longer fighting against the current of life, but flowing with it, using our creative power to shape the journey. The self as creator is not a solitary role. While each individual is the creator of their own reality, we are also interconnected with others, creating a shared experience of the world. Our thoughts, beliefs, and actions influence those around us, just as we are influenced by the collective consciousness. This understanding invites a sense of responsibility not only for our personal reality, but for the larger world we help create through our interactions with others. The self as creator is a powerful reminder that we are not passive participants in life. We are active creators, capable of shaping our experiences, influencing our circumstances, and crafting the reality we desire. By consciously directing our thoughts, beliefs, and imagination, we step into our role as creators and realize that the power to transform our lives lies within us. This is a journey of empowerment, self-mastery, and ultimately of realizing that we hold the key to our own destiny. In conclusion, the message is clear: we are not passive bystanders in the unfolding of our lives, but powerful creators of our own reality. Through our thoughts, beliefs, and imagination, we shape the world we experience. By taking responsibility for our inner state, Consciously directing our focus and embracing our role as creators, we can transform our lives from within. The path to fulfillment, success, and peace lies in recognizing that everything we need is already within us, waiting to be realized. Thank you. There comes a day in every life when the world, as you've known it, fades away and something new takes its place. For me, that day was not marked by external events, but by an internal awakening, a realization so profound that it shifted the course of my life forever. Belief is the foundation upon which everything in our lives is built. It shapes our thoughts, decisions, and actions, even when we are unaware of it. The power of belief is not some abstract concept. It is a force that can radically transform lives, determining whether we achieve our dreams or fall short of them. The day we recognize this power is the day we take the first step toward truly shaping our destiny. At its core, belief is the lens through which we interpret the world. If we believe something is possible, we will move toward it, consciously or unconsciously, creating opportunities and seizing moments that align with that belief. Conversely, if we believe something is beyond our reach, no matter how much we may desire it, we will act in ways that sabotage our chances of attaining it. Our beliefs act like invisible hands, guiding us whether towards success or failure. The transformative power of belief comes from its ability to define not only what we think, but also what we feel and experience. A person who believes they are capable of achieving great things will naturally carry themselves with confidence. Their energy will be magnetic, drawing in people and circumstances that support their goals. This is not mere optimism or positive thinking, it is a deep conviction that shapes reality. On the other hand, a person who believes they are doomed to fail, no matter how much they try, will exude an aura of defeat, subtly pushing away opportunities and reinforcing their belief in failure. Beliefs are formed through repeated thoughts, experiences, and conditioning. We develop them from childhood, shaped by our families, society, and the environments we inhabit. Over time, these beliefs become ingrained, dictating how we view ourselves and the world around us. Yet, while many of these beliefs are subconscious, they are not immovable. One of the greatest realizations we can have is that our beliefs can be changed. The moment we grasp this truth, we begin to take control of our lives in ways we may never have thought possible. The key to harnessing the power of belief lies in recognizing that we are the creators of our beliefs. We have the ability to choose what we believe about ourselves, others, and the world. This choice is what empowers us. We no longer need to be victims of limiting beliefs instilled by others or by past failures. The moment we decide to believe in our potential, to believe in the possibility of success, we unlock new realms of experience. Belief also influences how we react to challenges and setbacks. Those who believe in their ability to overcome obstacles will view difficulties as opportunities for growth. They will push forward, learning from each failure, becoming stronger in the process. On the other hand, those with limiting beliefs may see obstacles as confirmation of their fears, reasons to quit or give up. The difference between success and failure often lies not in talent or luck, but in how we perceive and respond to life's inevitable challenges. It all stems from belief. But what if our current beliefs do not serve us? What if we are weighed down by limiting thoughts that hold us back? The first step is awareness. We must examine the beliefs that underlie our thoughts and actions, question them, and decide whether they align with the life we want to create. Once we are aware of these beliefs, we can begin to consciously replace them with new, empowering ones. This process requires repetition and commitment, as old beliefs can be deeply rooted. But with time and practice, we can reprogram our minds to believe in the limitless possibilities that life offers. Visualization is a powerful tool in this process. By vividly imagining the life we want, as if it is already our reality, we begin to internalize the belief that it is possible. This practice sends a clear message to the subconscious mind. which does not distinguish between real and imagined experiences. Over time, the mind begins to accept the new belief as truth, and we start to act in ways that align with this belief, bringing it into our reality. Belief is not simply wishful thinking or hoping for the best. It is a profound conviction that influences everything we do. When we truly believe in our power to create the life we desire, we become unstoppable. We stop waiting for external circumstances to change and realize that the change begins within. Our outer world is merely a reflection of our inner state. The power of belief is the power to shape our destiny. When we believe in our potential, in our ability to achieve what we set our minds to, we set in motion the forces that will bring those desires into reality. It is this power that transforms lives, and the moment we choose to harness it is the moment everything changes. There comes a moment in life when we realize that everything we've been searching for externally already exists within us. This realization marks the beginning of our awakening to inner power, a profound shift in perspective that transforms how we approach life. Many of us grow up believing that power lies outside of ourselves, in the hands of others, in circumstances, or in external achievements. We are taught to seek validation, success, and happiness from the world around us. But the truth is, the most powerful force we possess has always been within. Awakening to inner power means understanding that the source of everything we desire, whether it's success, love, peace, or fulfillment, is not something to be found outside. It is something to be unlocked from within. This inner power is not a force of control or dominance over others. Rather, it is the ability to shape our own experience, to influence the course of our lives by aligning our thoughts, emotions, and actions with our deepest intentions. The first step in awakening to this power is recognizing that we are responsible for our own lives. For many, this can be a difficult realization, especially if we've spent years believing that circumstances or other people are to blame for our struggles. But in reality, while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can always control how we respond. It is our thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs that shape how we experience life. The moment we take full responsibility for our inner world, we begin to reclaim our power. Our thoughts are one of the most powerful tools we possess. Every thought we think sends out a vibration that influences the energy around us. When we focus on positive, empowering thoughts, we attract experiences and opportunities that align with that energy. On the other hand, when we dwell on negativity, fear, or doubt, we inadvertently create more of the same. By becoming aware of our thoughts and learning to consciously direct them, we tap into our ability to shape our reality. Emotions, too, play a key role in the awakening to inner power. Emotions are the fuel that drives our actions, and they are intimately tied to our thoughts. When we allow ourselves to be ruled by fear, anger, or sadness, we give away our power. But when we learn to manage our emotions, to feel them fully without being controlled by them, we gain mastery over our inner world. This doesn't mean suppressing negative emotions, but rather acknowledging them, understanding their source, and choosing how we want to respond. One of the most transformative aspects of awakening to inner power is the realization that our imagination is the gateway to creating the life we desire. The mind doesn't distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It reacts to whatever we feed it. By visualizing our desired outcomes, we begin to reprogram our subconscious mind to believe in their possibility. The more vividly we imagine the life we want, the more we align ourselves with the energy needed to bring it into reality. This is not magic, it is the law of cause and effect. What we focus on expands. Another important component of this awakening is understanding the power of intention. When we set a clear intention, we are sending a message to both our subconscious mind and the universe that we are ready to act in alignment with our desires. An intention is like a guiding star. It keeps us focused, motivated, and moving in the direction of our goals. Without intention, we drift through life, reacting to whatever comes our way. But with intention, we become proactive creators of our own experience. Awakening to inner power also means recognizing that true power comes from within, not from controlling or manipulating the outside world. It is the power to remain centered and grounded no matter what life throws our way. It is the power to choose our responses, to stay aligned with our higher self, and to trust in our ability to navigate whatever challenges arise. When we are connected to this inner power, we become resilient, adaptable, and confident in our ability to create positive change. This journey of awakening often requires us to let go of old beliefs, fears, and limitations that have kept us from fully stepping into our power. It requires us to trust ourselves, to have faith in our intuition, and to believe that we are capable of far more than we may have previously imagined. As we shed these old layers, we begin to see ourselves not as victims of circumstance, but as creators of our own reality. Awakening to inner power is about reclaiming the truth of who we are. It is about realizing that we are not limited by our past or by the expectations of others. We are powerful, creative beings capable of manifesting our deepest desires. The day we awaken to this truth is the day we stop looking outside for answers and begin to trust in the immense power that resides within. From that moment forward, life is no longer something that happens to us. It becomes something we actively shape, guided by the knowledge that we hold the key to our own fulfillment. It is one of the most potent forces we possess, yet it is often underestimated or dismissed as mere fantasy. The truth is, imagination is the blueprint for everything we create in our lives. It is the starting point of all progress, innovation, and personal transformation. Every achievement, invention, or life change begins with a vision in the mind, a picture formed in the realm of imagination before it ever becomes tangible in the world. Understanding the power of imagination and using it consciously is key to shaping our reality and unlocking our potential. It is not confined to daydreams or fleeting thoughts. It is the mental workshop where our future is designed. When we imagine something vividly and repeatedly, we are planting seeds in our subconscious mind. These seeds take root and begin to influence our thoughts, actions, and decisions, guiding us toward the manifestation of the imagined scenario. Our subconscious mind does not distinguish between reality and imagination. It reacts to both with equal intensity. Therefore, the images we consistently hold in our minds become the foundation for the life we eventually experience. This is why imagination is often referred to as the blueprint of our lives. Just as an architect creates a detailed plan before constructing a building, we must use our imagination to design the life we desire. The clearer and more detailed this inner blueprint is, the easier it becomes for us to manifest it. Without a clear vision, we are like an architect trying to build without a plan. Our efforts are scattered, and the results are unpredictable. But with a strong, focused imagination, we can create a clear roadmap for our lives, directing our energy and actions with purpose. One of the most remarkable aspects of imagination is its ability to break through the limitations of the present moment. Often we get stuck in our current circumstances, feeling confined by what we see in front of us. But imagination allows us to transcend those limitations and explore possibilities that do not yet exist. It enables us to envision a future that is better, brighter, and more fulfilling than our current reality. This vision becomes a beacon, pulling us forward and giving us the motivation to strive for something greater. The key to harnessing the power of imagination lies in living from the end, a concept that involves imagining our desired outcome as if it has already been achieved. This is not merely wishful thinking. It is a deliberate practice of seeing and feeling ourselves in the state of having already accomplished our goals. When we consistently imagine ourselves in the position we desire, we begin to embody the energy, mindset, and behaviors of that future self. This shift in our inner world soon starts to reflect in our external reality, as we naturally take actions that align with our vision. Also plays a crucial role in problem solving and innovation. When faced with challenges, it is easy to become overwhelmed by obstacles or limitations. But those who master the use of imagination are able to think beyond the apparent barriers and come up with creative solutions. They can see possibilities where others see only roadblocks, because their minds are not confined by what currently exists. Many of the greatest inventions and breakthroughs in history were the result of individuals daring to imagine what could be, rather than being constrained by what was. Imagination allows us to connect with our deepest desires and aspirations. It is through imagination that we discover what truly excites and inspires us. When we take time to envision our ideal life, free from the constraints of practicality or fear, we gain clarity about what we really want. This clarity is essential for setting meaningful goals and pursuing a life of fulfillment. Imagination helps us dream big, and once we can see our dreams in vivid detail, we are more likely to believe they are possible and to take the steps necessary to achieve them. Another profound aspect of imagination is its power to shift our emotional state. The mind and body respond to imagined experiences almost as strongly as they do to real ones. When we imagine joyful, peaceful, or successful scenarios, we begin to feel those emotions in the present moment. This emotional shift is powerful because it raises our vibration, attracting more of the experiences that match those feelings. In contrast, if we allow our imagination to dwell on worst-case scenarios, fears or doubts, we lower our vibration and become more likely to encounter those negative outcomes. To make the most of our imagination, we must be intentional about what we focus on. Imagination is always at work, whether we are aware of it or not. If we let our minds wander aimlessly, or if we fixate on negative outcomes, we are still creating a blueprint, but it's one that leads to undesirable results. To take control of our lives, we must take control of our imagination, consciously directing it toward the things we want to create. Imagination is a tool for shaping reality. It is the inner blueprint from which our outer world is built. When we understand its power and learn to wield it deliberately, we gain the ability to create the life we envision. We are no longer limited by our current circumstances or the expectations of others. Instead, we become the architects of our own destiny, designing a future that reflects our highest aspirations and deepest desires. Living from the end is a powerful mindset and practice that transforms the way we approach life, our goals, and our challenges. It involves imagining and emotionally embodying the reality of our desired outcomes as if they have already happened. Instead of waiting for external circumstances to change before we feel satisfied, successful, or fulfilled, we bring those feelings into the present moment and begin to live as if we are already the person we want to become. This shift in consciousness not only affects how we feel but also influences our behavior, decisions, and ultimately our reality. The essence of living from the end lies in understanding that our inner state, our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs shapes our external reality. Many of us approach life with a mindset of once this happens, then I'll be happy, or if only I could achieve that, then I'll feel successful. We wait for external circumstances to validate our worth or provide us with the sense of fulfillment we seek. However, living from the end turns this thinking upside down. Instead of waiting for the external world to align with our desires, we align ourselves internally with the version of reality we wish to experience. By doing so, we bring that desired future closer to us. At the heart of this practice is the belief that we create our reality through our internal state of being. Our thoughts, beliefs, and feelings act like a magnet, attracting experiences that are in harmony with them. When we live from the end, we are consciously choosing to align our current mindset with the future we desire. This alignment affects our actions and decisions, creating a powerful feedback loop that accelerates the manifestation of our goals. By embodying the state of already having achieved our desires, we naturally begin to take steps that lead us in that direction. One of the key elements of living from the end is emotional alignment. It's not enough to simply visualize the outcome we want, we must also feel the emotions that come with it. Emotions are the driving force behind our thoughts and actions, and they are a crucial part of the creative process. If we can cultivate the feelings of joy, gratitude, confidence, or peace that we expect to experience once we reach our goals, we begin to raise our emotional vibration to match that desired outcome. This emotional shift sends a powerful signal to our subconscious mind and to the universe that we are ready to receive what we desire. Another important aspect of living from the end is letting go of the need to control the how often. When we set goals, we become fixated on figuring out every step of the process or worrying about how it will come to fruition. Living from the end requires us to trust that the right path will unfold as long as we stay aligned with the end result. This doesn't mean we become passive or stop taking action. It means we take inspired action from a place of confidence and trust, rather than from fear or doubt. When we trust the process and focus on maintaining the emotional and mental state of already having what we want, the necessary steps reveal themselves naturally. Living from the end also transforms how we deal with challenges and setbacks. Instead of seeing obstacles as confirmation that our goals are out of reach, we view them as temporary detours or opportunities for growth. By holding firmly to the vision of our desired outcome, we remain resilient in the face of difficulties. We no longer allow external circumstances to dictate how we feel, because we are living from a place of inner certainty and fulfillment. This mental and emotional stability makes it easier to navigate challenges and find creative solutions. One of the most profound effects of living from the end is the shift in self-identity it creates. When we live from the end, we are not simply pretending to have achieved our goals, we are becoming the person who already has them. This shift in identity changes how we think, how we act, and how we interact with the world. For example, if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, living from the end means adopting the mindset, habits, and confidence of someone who has already built a successful business. Over time, this shift in identity becomes self-reinforcing. As we act like the person we wish to become, we start to create the external circumstances that align with that identity. Living from the end requires practice and patience. It may not always feel natural at first, especially if we are used to focusing on the gap between where we are and where we want to be. But with consistent effort, it becomes a way of life. We begin to realize that we are not defined by our current circumstances, but by the future we are actively creating. Living from the end is about reclaiming our creative power. It is about recognizing that we have the ability to shape our reality, not by waiting for things to change, but by changing how we think and feel in the present moment. When we live from the end, we become the architects of our own destiny, creating a life that reflects our deepest desires and highest aspirations. Faith in the unseen is a profound and transformative concept that speaks to the essence of belief beyond the physical world. It is the trust in outcomes, realities, and possibilities that have not yet materialized or been verified by our senses. This kind of faith extends beyond religious or spiritual context. It is the cornerstone of every significant achievement, every creative endeavor, and every moment of personal growth. It requires us to trust in forces and possibilities we cannot yet see but feel deeply within. When we cultivate faith in the unseen, we empower ourselves to move forward with confidence, even when the path ahead is unclear. At its core, faith in the unseen means believing in possibilities that go beyond our immediate circumstances. It asks us to trust in a vision that our present reality does not yet reflect. In a world that often prioritizes tangible evidence and logical reasoning, this kind of faith can seem irrational. But if we look closely at the lives of those who have made great strides in any field, whether in science, art, business, or personal development, we see that faith in the unseen was a key factor in their success. The greatest inventions, innovations, and breakthroughs came not from what was already known, but from the belief that something new and different could be created. This type of faith requires a strong conviction in the power of imagination and thought. What we envision in our minds, if held with conviction and nurtured, begins to take form in the world around us. This idea aligns with the understanding that our external reality is a reflection of our internal state. When we have faith in a future that has not yet come into view, we begin to align our actions, thoughts, and emotions with that future. Over time, this alignment brings our unseen visions into tangible reality. One of the most challenging aspects of cultivating faith in the unseen is overcoming doubt and fear. Our minds are conditioned to rely on what we can observe, measure, and verify. When we pursue a goal or dream that seems far from our current circumstances, it is natural to encounter doubts, thoughts that tell us we are being unrealistic, that the path ahead is too uncertain. Fear often accompanies these doubts, as stepping into the unknown requires us to leave the comfort of the familiar. However, faith in the unseen asks us to rise above these doubts and fears, trusting that the steps we take today, even if uncertain, are leading us toward the future we desire. This faith also requires patience. Often the results we seek do not appear immediately. There may be periods of waiting, times when it seems like nothing is happening, and moments when we question whether our faith was misplaced. But true faith in the unseen is not shaken by temporary delays or setbacks. It understands that the process of creation takes time, and that every step, even those that seem small or insignificant, is part of the larger journey. During these times of waiting, faith serves as a steady anchor, reminding us that unseen forces are at work, even when we cannot yet see the evidence. To patience, faith in the unseen calls for persistence. The road to realizing unseen visions is rarely linear or without challenges. Obstacles and setbacks are inevitable, but they are also opportunities for growth and refinement. Faith in the unseen strengthens our resolve, helping us to push through difficulties, learn from failures, and continue moving forward. It reminds us that setbacks are not indicators of failure, but stepping stones toward eventual success. Faith in the unseen is also closely tied to intuition. Often the path to our desired outcome does not follow a straightforward, logical sequence. Instead, it unfolds through unexpected opportunities, coincidences, and intuitive nudges. When we trust in the unseen, we become more attuned to these subtle signs and signals, allowing us to navigate the journey with greater ease and trust. This inner guidance helps us make decisions that align with our vision, even when those decisions don't make sense to others or seem to defy conventional wisdom. Furthermore, faith in the unseen transforms how we approach challenges. When we believe that something greater is possible, we are less likely to be deterred by obstacles. Instead of seeing challenges as barriers, we begin to see them as necessary parts of the process, tests of our commitment to the vision we hold. This shift in perspective not only helps us overcome difficulties, but also allows us to grow stronger and more resilient in the process. In careers, personal development, and creative pursuits, faith in the unseen is essential. It allows us to take bold steps, to invest in ourselves, and to pursue dreams that others might deem impossible. This faith connects us to the infinite potential that exists beyond our current reality, reminding us that the limitations we perceive are often self-imposed. Faith in the unseen is about believing in the power of what is yet to come. It is the ability to trust that, no matter how uncertain or distant our vision may seem, we are capable of bringing it into reality. This kind of faith requires courage, patience, and persistence, but it is through this faith that the most extraordinary transformations and achievements are born. It asks us to embrace the unknown with open hearts and minds, trusting that what we seek is already on its way, even if we cannot yet see it. And acceptance are two powerful forces that, when embraced, can transform the way we experience life. Together they serve as the foundation for a peaceful, fulfilling existence by shifting our focus from what we lack to what we already have, and by helping us come to terms with things beyond our control. Gratitude opens our hearts to the abundance around us, while acceptance allows us to navigate challenges with grace and resilience. These qualities are deeply interconnected, and understanding their role can lead to profound personal growth and a more harmonious approach to life. Is the practice of recognizing and appreciating the positive aspects of our lives, no matter how small they may seem. It involves shifting our focus away from what is missing or what is wrong and directing our attention to the gifts and opportunities that are already present. When we cultivate gratitude, we begin to see life through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. This shift in perspective changes not only how we feel emotionally, but also how we approach life's challenges and opportunities. Gratitude has a remarkable ability to elevate our emotional state. When we take the time to acknowledge the things we are thankful for, we activate positive emotions such as joy, contentment, and peace. This emotional shift has a ripple effect on our overall well-being. Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude regularly experience higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction, reduced levels of stress and depression, and improved physical health. Gratitude strengthens our sense of connection to others, fostering feelings of empathy, kindness, and generosity. But gratitude does not mean ignoring the difficulties or disappointments we encounter. Instead, it involves a conscious choice to focus on the good that exists even in challenging circumstances. It helps us reframe negative experiences, finding silver linings and opportunities for growth. For example, a difficult situation may teach us resilience, patience, or empathy, qualities that enrich our lives in the long run. By recognizing the value in all experiences, we become more resilient, capable of facing adversity without losing our sense of hope or positivity. Complements gratitude by teaching us to embrace life as it is, rather than constantly resisting or wishing for things to be different. Acceptance is not about giving up or resigning ourselves to a passive fate. Rather, it is about acknowledging reality, especially those aspects of it that we cannot change, and finding peace in that acknowledgement. When we resist reality, we create suffering for ourselves, as we expend energy fighting against circumstances that are beyond our control. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows us to let go of that resistance and find a sense of inner calm, even in the face of uncertainty or hardship. The power of acceptance lies in its ability to reduce the emotional turmoil that often accompanies unmet expectations or difficult situations. Life is unpredictable, and we are bound to encounter events that disrupt our plans or challenge our sense of control. By accepting what is, we stop fighting against the flow of life and begin to work with it. This does not mean we stop striving for improvement or personal growth, but rather that we learn to adapt to changing circumstances with grace and flexibility. Acceptance also plays a crucial role in our relationships with others. Often we experience conflict and frustration when we expect people to behave in certain ways or meet our standards. When we accept others as they are, without judgment or the need to change them, we create space for more authentic and harmonious connections. Acceptance fosters understanding and compassion, allowing us to appreciate the uniqueness of each individual and to let go of the need for control in our interactions. In conclusion, the ideas of imagination, faith, belief, and living from the end come together to form a powerful approach to life. By embracing gratitude and acceptance and having faith in the unseen, we harness the creative power within ourselves to shape our reality. These principles teach us that we are not limited by our current circumstances, but are capable of manifesting our deepest desires by aligning our thoughts, emotions, and actions with the future we envision. When we practice gratitude and acceptance, we find peace in the present moment and open ourselves to greater possibilities. By living from the end and having faith in the unseen, we allow ourselves to transcend limitations and create the life we truly want. Thank you for your time and attention.